Former President Donald Trump recently reposted a meme which threatens to arrest black poll workers. Taking to his, social media platform,
Truth Essential,
he posted or reposted this. Start arresting the poll workers and watch how fast they tell you who told them to cheat. Donald J. Trump retruthed. Ooh. There's a lot of assumptions there. And of course, there's the threat of jail time, right? And the assumption, of course, that, obviously they're, look, Biden, Harris, and they're black, and they're obviously Democrats as well. So they must be being told to cheat. Again, there's no evidence that anyone rigged the 2020 election. Now, Trump had actually, and there's plenty of evidence of this, attempted to overturn the results. But again, no evidence of anyone on the Biden side trying to rig the election. Specifically poll workers. No evidence of that. But look, as Mikey loves to say,
just forget about the evidence.
They don't need any. So look, this picture, by the way, has been passed around conservative Facebook for some time. In fact, a reverse image search shows that it was posted by Dan Bongino, because of course, and had been posted by an anti-Biden Facebook group. There's conflicting information about where it actually comes from, whether or not these are actual poll workers. Nobody really knows. So there are allegations that these so-called poll workers are from Philadelphia, but there are others claiming that they're photographed in Detroit. Again, conflicting information, no idea. It was posted originally by somebody named Will Holliday, who alleged that it was a group of poll workers in Philadelphia. However, Holliday's account was suspended. They can't find any other accounts matching that name. Now, when it was active, though, this account was used as a source, just rando, social media user, okay, for several blog posts about conservative stories, such as one about a Kansas teacher, a North Carolina preacher, and blog posts about the photo of these so-called poll workers. So it just this is what happens. This is where conservatives get their information. Randos. Just randos posting a picture on social media, and they're like, I don't know, these are poll workers from Philadelphia. Oh, I think they're from Detroit. Oh, yeah, they're from Detroit. They're from Detroit. They're from Philadelphia. Oh, they might be from somewhere else, too. We don't really know. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Just forget about the evidence.
And that's how it just spreads. It just takes off from there, and everybody just kind of, it's like the worst game of telephone you've ever imagined, right? The most racist game of telephone. A lot of assumptions here with no actual evidence of any of the claims of them being poll workers or helping to rig the election. Look, again, I don't know if they're poll workers. As far as I know, poll workers cannot wear gear that endorses any candidate. So again, don't know if they are or if they're not. And by the way, not even the rules are consistent across all the states on whether or not poll workers or people who are there can wear gear, can do quote unquote electioneering. Generally, you're not supposed to. Generally, it's against the law. But again, it depends on the states, how much they actually will crack down on it. If you can actually, because there are some states where you can go in and you can wear a campaign shirt and they'd be like, just go through the line as quick as possible and get out. Cast your vote, move you to the front of the line, get in, get out, so you won't be quote unquote electioneering, because they really don't want to get the cops involved in this kind of stuff. So again, we don't know. We don't know. Now, the one thing I do know for certain is that Trump supporters do have a history of going after black poll workers. A really good example of it was in Georgia, where Trump supporters targeted 2 black women who were election workers. They accused them of course, being on drugs. Black people, you know how they are, always on drugs. Yeah. What? And then, of course, trying to change the results of the election in Fulton County. Now, these 2 have successfully sued Rudy Giuliani, and I successfully by saying they won, because what Giuliani and the right wing were saying about them was just completely false. And not only that, but when they were testifying as grand jury witnesses in Fulton County, they had their story deeply affected the members of the jury. They just told them what it was like to be targeted by a bunch of racists. for doing nothing wrong, for actually answering the call to serving the community by being election workers. This is volunteer stuff, okay? But again, they didn't do anything wrong, but it doesn't matter.
Just forget about the evidence.
They were black, and that's a crime in some people's eyes. Automatically worthy of suspicion, just being black. Look, I'm not saying election fraud never happens. I'm not saying voter fraud never happens. In fact, it does. And it did in the last election, believe it or not. Now, it just so happens to have been MAGA supporters that perpetrated the vast majority of it. And they got caught. Now, they got let off pretty easy. Look, in Florida, by the way, I've done reports where you had black voters who had some past criminal convictions, right? So they weren't allowed to vote under Florida law. But the state said, oh, no, you can go ahead and vote. They're like, are you sure? Oh, yeah, no, go ahead and vote. You're cleared. You're cleared. And by the way, we're going to even send you registration cards, and we're going to send you ballots. They're like, are you sure we can vote? Yeah, go ahead. Okay. But legally, they weren't actually eligible to vote. And so what happened when they voted? They got flagged and charged with voter fraud and arrested in some cases. Ron DeSantis had this whole election fraud division set up to come down on them and to come down on them hard. Oh, look at all the voter fraud that we found. But wait, that was your fault. You told them that they could vote. You said, hey, no, everything's cleared. You're good to go, everybody. Go ahead and cast your ballot. That's why I think that this is not an accident. These cases eventually were dropped, were kicked out of court. But this was, I think, all a part of an effort to say, look at all the black people doing fraud. And look at how us Republicans were stopping the fraud. You see, you can't trust them. You can't trust them. They have voter fraud everywhere. Look, all the stuff about Democrats stealing elections, projection. That's all it is. All the plots and plans to mess with the elections seems to be coming from the far right, who I think believe that at the end of the day, they cannot win if you have free and fair elections. It goes all the way back to Paul Weyrich, okay, the godfather of the modern conservative movement, who basically said, and I'll summarize, the more people vote, the less of a chance we, on the right, Republicans, have of winning. Therefore, we're not going to do better. No. We're not going to try to be better and appeal to people. Oh, no. What we're going to do is actually, do voter suppression. We're going to make it so that less people vote. So again, more people vote, we lose.
Can't let that happen.
Okay, well, we're going to have to do some voter suppression. We're going to have to, try to kick people off the rolls. We're going to have to allege that if our opponents win, that it's just all due to fraud and all that, to try to put in draconian rules and make voting harder to do. That's the point of all this stuff. It's not about election integrity. No, it's all about trying to prevent people, certain types of people, from actually casting their ballots, taking part in the democratic process. And this is just another extension of that.